Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm Sophie and well, this is my channel. Hi. So if you haven't already guessed from the title of this video, I'm basically going to be having a bit of a chit chat about, well, when all of my travel plans haven't really gone to plan really, and well, some of these stories I guess you can call horror stories as stuff has just gone horribly wrong and I was feeling a bit scared at the time. I know I'm not somebody who has travelled as much as some people, like I'm definitely not a travel vlogger, I'm not constantly travelling, but I have done a bit of travelling in the past and I do have quite a lot of stories where when stuff hasn't gone right. And I thought I'd film this video as well just because I haven't really spoken about travel on my channel in a while and I do like talking about travel on my channel, and also I know this is going to sound like a cliche, but nowadays with social media we do find ourselves sometimes looking at people's pictures from their trips or their videos on YouTube or whatever and thinking wow, they're having like the best time, and we come to think travel is something a lot greater than it is, and the thing is you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. In that pretty beach photo, it may have been a really nice pretty beach photo, but they may have had a lot of trouble getting to that pretty beach in the first place that you can't necessarily see in that Instagram photo. So yeah, travel isn't all just sunshine, rainbows and pretty Instagram photos, and yeah, I thought that I'd show that and tell you some of my travel horror stories. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling on and let's get on with the video. So my first horror story is actually from a trip that I went on a couple of years ago now, and that is to Salzburg in Austria. Now at the time I went on this trip I just finished working as an au pair for a family in Konstanz, which is in southern Germany, and I was going to Salzburg where I was going to meet up with my parents and my brother for about 4 days and stay in a place that my dad had booked. So anyway, I was meeting my family in Salzburg and they were actually arriving a few hours before me, and the place my dad had booked was like an apartment that you could rent out, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get in because I didn't know what was going on about the whole key situation or anything. So my dad spoke to the guy because obviously I was arriving there a few hours earlier, and the guy basically told him to tell me that if I called him, I think it was about an hour before I got there, then he could drive down to the place and meet me to give me the key basically. So anyway, that is what I did. So on my bus from Munich to Salzburg, I called the guy when I thought I was close. Obviously I wasn't too sure because I'd never done this bus route before, and he didn't answer. I didn't panic straight away, tried him again, he didn't answer. Left it a while to see if he called back, didn't answer. Get to Salzburg, he still hasn't called me back, he's still not answering his phone. I'm starting to panic a bit at that point in time, but I thought, right, I'll just, you know, head towards the place. Maybe he'll call me back when I'm on my way there. I've got a 40-minute walk anyway, so it's no biggie. Hi guys, sorry if this bit's a bit jumpy. As you can tell, I am filming this clip on a different day just because when I was editing the video last night I realised that I was missing the final part of this story. So yeah, I'm going to finish this story now. The only problem is I can't really remember how far I got up to in the story. But yeah, anyway, basically I arrived at this apartment where I was meant to be meeting my family and staying. The guy who was meant to give me the key obviously wasn't there because he hadn't been answering his phone. He still wasn't answering his phone. I couldn't get through to my parents because I guess they were either still on the plane or going through security or whatnot. So I was just kind of stuck waiting there because I knew they were going to turn up there. So I didn't know what to do. I was stressing out that the place that my dad booked was probably a scam. Eventually somebody lets me into the block of flats because they could tell I wanted to get in. So then I was just like sitting in the hallway for hours whilst people just kept walking past and being like, "Grüß Gott," and I had to be like really polite to be like hello, when actually like I was just really stressed out and didn't want to talk to anybody because I was panicking quite a bit. So anyway, eventually the phone rings. It's this guy calling me back. It wasn't a scam. He did sound pretty angry on the phone though. He was like, "You were meant to call me an hour ago," or something like that. And I was like, what I wish I said is, "Excuse me, I did call you." Actually, I was just a bit like, "Ich habe dich angerufen," because like I was stressed and I had to speak in another language. But yeah, he hadn't called me about the key because he'd left his phone in his car, that's what he told me, but that was somehow my fault because I didn't call him. Anyway, the point is, it wasn't a scam. End of story. So my next story is actually from when I went to Peru, which was actually my first solo trip, which was about 3 years ago now, just coming up to 3 years ago, I think in June, because it was back in 2017. So yeah, basically I stayed in the city of Cusco for just short of about 2 months, and I volunteered teaching English and stayed in a homestay with other volunteers. So yeah, I was staying in a homestay and there were a few other volunteers there, and one day me and one of the other girls decided that we wanted to hike up to Cristo Blanco. If you know any Spanish, you can probably guess that Cristo Blanco is basically, well, just a statue of Jesus, which is, well, white. And I'll insert a picture of it here, but yeah, basically it's just a statue of Jesus which overlooks the city of Cusco and is a very popular tourist attraction there. But basically you can hike up there or you can take the bus, and we decided to hike. Not that long into the hike actually, I hear like this big growling noise, and instantly I stop because I'm quite a jumpy person, and I look and there's just like this big black dog staring at me and growling at me. My friend Caroline kept going, and she was like, "Look, it's fine," because I was scared of the dog. She was like, "Look, it's fine, it's not doing anything," but I thought it would chase me because, well, it's a stray dog. It hasn't got, I couldn't see any owners there anyway, and it was growling at me. And I'm not really used to stray dogs. I don't see stray dogs in the UK. I know they exist, but I've never seen one. So yeah, I saw that it was okay with her when she walked past though, so I just decided, you know, to go, because I weren't going to stand there and just stare at the dog all day, and, you know, got to overcome those fears. And as soon as I did that, the dog chased after me immediately. I was running as fast as I could, but the dog was just like so close to me. The dog just ran so much faster, and all I was picturing in my head is, oh my god, like, it's gonna bite me and I'm gonna have to go to the hospital and get stitches and a million different rabies injections, and yeah, just not nice. I was very, very scared. Anyway, I had this fleece that was tied around my waist, and the dog jumped up to bite me. It just missed me. Then some woman decided to shoo it away, and it listened to this woman. I don't know if it was her dog, I don't know, but like, why shoo it away then? Could you not have shown it, got rid of it earlier? Maybe she didn't see it, but yeah. And Caroline looked at me and said that the dog, when it jumped up to bite me, its teeth had ever so slightly just touched the fleece that was tied around my waist. So that gives you an idea of how close this dog was to me. I could literally feel its breath. It was terrifying. But yeah, I didn't get bitten by a dog. That was the main thing. It was pretty scary at the time. The only thing that I did end up getting bitten by in Peru was a cowfly and a fire ant and many mosquitoes, all in the Amazon. So yeah, But speaking about insects, that brings me on nicely to my next story, because it actually involves an insect related incident. So at the time of this story, I was working as an au pair, but for a different host family as the one that I'd previously mentioned in Constance. I would have the weekends off, but often they would invite me along to go places with them at the weekend and do things with them at the weekend. So one weekend we all went to, I think it's called Louisen Park, basically this big park in Mannheim, whatever that park is called. We went to that park. And yeah, we had a nice day walking around. The weather was really nice, and then my host kid wanted to play in like some water play area, and my host mum said that I could go off and do my own thing and that she would watch him. So I went off with my camera taking pictures, looking for these penguins, because I'd heard that there was penguins in the park somewhere, so I decided I was going to find those. Found the penguins, great. Was going back because I had the time to obviously meet my host family, because we were all going to travel back home together. So yeah, anyway, I'm heading back to meet them, and all of a sudden I feel this really sharp pain in my foot, and I'm wearing Birkenstocks, but not the normal Birkenstocks, the classic ones with like the two straps that go across, so the ones that kind of have like the in the toe bit. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining. Let me show you. So yeah, I was wearing these Birkenstocks, which I believe are cursed. They've brought me nothing but trouble, at least they did when I was in Germany anyway. So yeah, I was wearing those, so they were quite easy to flip off. So I like freak out and like just like kick where my right Birkenstock off, and I look at my foot and I don't know if it was a bee or a wasp, because I just like immediately kicked it off without paying much attention. I just saw a yellow and black striped insect, obviously knew that I'd been stung and freaked out and tried to kick it off, because obviously if it was a wasp it may have stung me again. So yeah, and I limped back to my host family. I think it was a bee, because my host mum said that she'd seen a stinger or something, but she got it out. I don't know. Anyway, the next day I wake up and my foot is like completely swollen, but I decide to still go out as planned. I'd planned I was going to go to Karlsruhe for the day, and that was probably a big mistake, because I was really struggling to walk around the city. So yeah, I come back from Karlsruhe that night and my foot is just completely purple. It hurts so badly to walk. I was really confused, because I was like, is this an allergic reaction? But I've been stung by both bees and wasps before, so I couldn't see why I would have an allergic reaction then and never previously. It is possible. But yeah, anyway, I ended up going to the doctors in the end, and I'm not too sure what is wrong with it. Like, he told me the name of what it was called, but I instantly forgot, because I'd never heard of this word before. I basically asked him to explain. I asked him what it meant and thought that he'd tell me in English, but he didn't. It was in German. So from my very best understanding of what he said in German, the bee stung me in either like a vein or a blood vessel or something, just somewhere where the blood was flowing through my foot, and that's why my foot basically went purple, because all the blood was coming out. So I guess it was like a big weird kind of sore, swollen bruise thing. Wasn't very nice. So my next story is actually another one from Peru. Most of the stories in this video are actually from Peru, so it's almost like nothing actually went right in Peru. But no, I did have a good time in Peru nevertheless, even though a lot of things went wrong. I had some very amazing experiences out there, so don't think you shouldn't go travelling because bad stuff happens, because bad stuff happens when you stay in your home country as well. Like, stuff's always going wrong. So yeah, basically this story is just that I got bronchitis. Not much I can say about that really, other than the fact that I thought it was just a cold, and I didn't go to the doctor straight away. I had a hike booked up the Rainbow Mountain that I had already paid for in full. I should have gone in and basically seen if there was any way that they could move it to a later date, even if I had to pay a small fee for them to do that or whatever, or pay for it all again. But no, I was like, I don't want to lose my money and it's just a cold, it'll be fine. I never hiked up a mountain before, so I didn't know really what I was getting myself into. And yeah, it wasn't a cold, as I found out. Just even that day getting on the bus, I realised that my symptoms were a lot worse, and I was thinking, oh no, but I'm going now, so I'm just going to hike up anyway. I remember getting to like the first kind of top bit where they're like, oh, you've made it, but there's still like a little bit higher that you can go, literally walking up for like a minute. If you wanted to get the picture that everybody gets on Instagram, you know, that one I insert here. I didn't get that picture because the tour guide basically told me to go back down and that I was too ill. I did get a picture up the top, but not up the very top. So yeah, I did still basically hike up the mountain. But yeah, next day went to the doctors. Turned out I had bronchitis. I didn't even know what bronchitis was, which is probably why I just thought it was a cold. Oh, and I gave everybody else bronchitis as well. I can't forget to mention that. I think this is going to be my last story now, even though I do have a few more, just because, well, I feel like this video is going to be very, very long, and I think this is probably a horror story where some of the others aren't too as bad. So yeah, we're going to include this one, which is also from Peru. Could you have guessed? So yeah, basically this story is from the time that I went on the Salcantay trek to Machu Picchu. It was in like my last week before I went back home. So yeah, if I didn't go on this trip then there was going to be no other time for me to go on the trip, because I think the hike was about 4 days long and I only had 6 days left. So yeah, I needed to go then really. So yeah, anyway, the day before each trip they would ask you to come in to basically find out the information that you needed to know about the trip. So I did, and they basically told me that about 4 AM I think a taxi was going to turn up to my homestay, so you know, to be ready waiting, and the taxi driver was going to take me to McDonald's where I was going to be picked up by like the tour guide. So yeah, I got dropped off near Plaza de Armas and basically just told to walk to McDonald's. So I did that. I saw 2 other girls there and I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going on the same trip. So obviously I asked, they said they were, so I was like, cool, I'll sit and wait for them. We've probably got the same tour guide if we've been told to wait in the same place. No. So a tour guide came along, called out their names, and yeah, they walked off. My name wasn't called out, but I didn't panic at this point. I thought maybe there's loads of people going on different tours today, and maybe this is just a common meeting spot. I'm sure someone will be along in a minute. I've literally been here for 2 minutes, so it's fine. Leave it a bit later, some guy from Chile comes along, he sits down, we're having a nice chat. At this point I feel safe, I'm practicing my Spanish, it's great. Well, it's not great because it's cold, but you know, I felt safe, that's the main thing. Some guy comes along, basically calls out his name. I asked if they had a Sophie, they said no. I was like, do you have a Sophia? No. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Yeah, that tour guide apparently didn't have me on his list, so I continue waiting. The tour guide from earlier, who had picked up the 2 girls that were there originally, comes back along, says somebody else's name that I never heard of. I was like, no, but have you got like a Sophie or a Sophia? No, he didn't. So anyway, I'm waiting. Nobody else comes along. It's been like half an hour, maybe even longer. Nobody else has come along. You know, it's early hours in the morning and they tell you not to, you know, to stay safe. Don't go out by yourself at, you know, whilst it's dark. Let allow like, you know, early hours of the morning when there's basically no one on the street. There were a few people about, which I guess is the only reason I didn't feel terribly unsafe, although I did feel a bit unsafe, just because like there's lots of bars and clubs near Plaza de Armas, so there was like people walking around. And yeah, at one point basically I see this girl kind of stumbling around. There's this girl and this guy is just behind her, and the girl basically sees me and she's like, what are you doing here all by yourself, and like runs up and sits down. So the guy comes and sits down as well. I tell her what I'm doing and why I'm here, and basically it turns out the guy actually worked for the company Peru Hop, and the girl was traveling with Peru Hop. Is basically this hop on and off bus scheme that goes to loads of different places throughout Peru. Also goes to La Paz in Bolivia. So yeah, and she basically walked out of a club like without saying where she was going, and was, you know, quite out of it. So he was worried, so came to check up on her, and they basically found me. And turns out this guy that worked for Peru Hop actually knew the guy who was in charge of American Inca Trail. So yeah, he actually called the guy. Obviously I couldn't call the guy because, well, for one, I didn't have a Peruvian SIM card. But yeah, even if I did have a SIM card, like, I wasn't going to be able to call the, you know, the American Inca Trail office, because, you know, who's going to be there at like 4:30 in the morning. But yeah, anyway, this guy knew him and was able to actually get in contact with the guy who ran American Inca Trail by you know, his personal number, and basically explained to him what was going on. And then he basically said to me this, yeah, he said he's going to call the tour guide or whatever, someone should be with you soon. And this guy and this girl sat and waited with me until somebody came over, which is really nice. And actually the tour guide who came over was the original tour guide who came over and collected the two girls in the first place. But yeah, I'm very grateful that I bumped into that guy and that girl that day, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have gone on that trip. I was actually planning out what I was going to do if I didn't go on the trip. That's it for this video. I know I've been rambling on for a while, so congrats if you stayed around to the end. You know, give yourself a pat on the back. And yeah, give this video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to see more videos from me. Comment, let me know if you've got a travel horror story. I would love to know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!